Before I forget, is this in everybody's folder? Tomorrow morning, cattlemen are cooking real steak biscuits. Being 216, starting at 7:30. Will, is that right? Anything you want to say?
We'll have 500 light steak biscuits. We'll have folks from most of your district, so they'll be looking for you.
Yeah, that's the important part, right?
Yeah, they'll be asking me where you are. Y'all come down.
All right, is anything else before we get started?
Will there be an extra cow out there if we need it?
Well, they might have to put one for you.
We've got extra biscuits.
All right, Representative Watson, House Bill 1030.
All right.
Which number are you?
It's number 8. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring before you this bill dealing with the Georgia Seed Development Commission. Just trying to make some small changes here. Just to give you a little background, this commission was established in 1959 by the General Assembly, and they are tasked with marketing the seed that's developed by the University of Georgia. They collect the royalties dealing with that seed. They market that seed. They make sure that it's not misused. And so, that being said, as you can see right here, the first part, we're just defining what a licensee is. And then as you go down through, you can see we've marked out a farmer who grows crops or turf. The reason the commission wants to do this is they've had trouble getting members to serve on the committee. They already have some farmers involved. They know about the fertilizer now. They know about the chemicals now. But they need more people on the commission that know about seed trends and what's going on in the seed market, more the business side of how to promote these varieties of seeds. So that's why you see the changes there. Also, another thing that came up was that the commission also got stacked on the turf side of the industry. We had a lot of people in the turf industry serving on the commission, and we didn't have other representatives from other sectors of agriculture. So they were having this helps to be able to pick more, so that they're not stacked on the turf side of the industry. Also, the University of Georgia College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences has members that serve on this commission, and just kind of felt like that was inappropriate or awkward for those members because ultimately the University of Georgia College of Agriculture is receiving the research and they're getting these grants and they're doing all this stuff with these companies and developing all these seed varieties. So they wanted to change some of that. So really, other than that, that's about it. I'll take any questions.
Anybody have any? Evidently the mics are getting full. What's your number, Tom?
Whit2. He's Whit2.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this creating a new license, or is this the existing license?
No, this is the commission is already in law. It was done in 1959 originally. Mm-hmm. They're just changing who's selected to go onto the commission.
Well, those licensees, those are people who are already licensed. We have that license out there today, is what you're saying. We're not creating a new licensee.
No.
Okay.
No.
Scott?
I'm sorry, Dominic's over here making jokes. Where in code does it say who gives the licenses? Can I look that up real quick? Or do you know by chance?
Who gives the licenses?
Yeah, who issues the licenses? It's not addressed in this particular bill, but maybe it's somewhere else in code. Is it spelled out someplace, Jeremy?
Where do they get that from there?
So if we're creating a term licensee, how do we know who issues the license? I'm asking because I don't know.
I don't know unless a commission does.
Any person at the college gives permission to use their seeds, market their seeds, propagate their seeds. So it's something they're already doing. Does that make sense?
Not
We can change
really.
the word licensee to holder or authorized person, and it would be the same thing.
But does it? Who's given the authorization? It's not. That's not spelled out in code.
Yeah, I don't know. They're the college is the owner of these seeds and plants, and they give certain people authority to use them.
Right. The Seed Development Commission is administratively attached to us, but they work with the College of Agriculture. And we asked this when they sent it over, and the Seed Development Commission, they distribute the different crop varieties, and so they are responsible for giving an individual or a company the license to use this UGA seed.
So if I go on Photoshop and create my own license and put it in a frame, can I say that I'm licensed? I mean, because there's, I mean, under the way that this is worded, I guess I'm asking a question. I just don't understand the answer. Can I make up my own license? Who is the authority that issues the license?
The Seed Development.
And where is that in code?
So is it not?
No, it's not.
That's the question that I have. Is it's not in code. That was the answer to the question that I asked was where is it in code, and it's not there. Okay. Does it need to be, Jeremy?
I don't think so.
Okay.
If you're worried about someone fraudulently photoshopping a license,
To sell seed, I mean, their control, what they are doing is they're saying that you have permission to sell and market University of Georgia developed seed.
Are we, by act of the General Assembly, giving them the authority to license?
I think they've already
They've already got it. That's what they do. And I mean, and technically, and I know we've got somebody here from Monsanto. I mean, with this seed stuff, it's serious business if you misuse or take this seed and
read
do
some
things
stuff
you're not
about
supposed
that.
to with it. Just
Yeah.
go to South Georgia and ask some of the cotton farmers what they did with some cotton seed that they weren't supposed to. So they're paying for it. And it's just, you don't mess around with it.
And on this side, it's the seed developed by the university, which is a very big deal.
When we legalize marijuana, then we may need to worry about putting something in code about who gets a seed and who's licensed and not. But
Well, I kind of asked the question though. The legislation prompts the question, I think.
But it's been the Development Commission has been issuing whatever license they issue, and it's based on, isn't it based on University of Georgia developed seed varieties?
That's right.
And then the university gets
The royalties.
money back, a bunch of money back.
Mhm.
It's a lot of money. I forget what Representative Watson, is it like
$10 million.
On an annual basis.
For a variety.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question from the back row.
Well, let me get these other three right here.
I don't have a button to press.
All right. I won't forget you. Who's number three? Is that you?
Yeah,
Tommy?
I think that's me. And what I leaned over and told Representative Turner was, anytime I ask a question after you, I show my naivete. But one of the things I don't like to see is striking through the word farmer. I would wager that there's a 40% number up here that don't know really what the word farmer truly means, and that you could say farmer licensee, or I don't know if it's a such thing in the way that y'all write law, farmer / licensee. I just don't like to strike the word farmer. Those of us who know and truly appreciate what they are and who they are, I want it to be in code until Jesus comes back. And I don't know, that may be silly, but do you have to strike the word farmer? It's in a 60-something line bill. It's strike 3 times.
Yeah, it is, but it says shall otherwise be involved in the production. I mean,
That was gonna be my question.
I just like the word farmer.
That involves your farmers when you say they shall be a licensee or shall be involved in the production.
But
A farmer is involved in the production. Is that?
oh no,
you would read?
I agree with that. I just kind of wanted it in addition to, just so when somebody looks at this code section 100 years from now, we don't forget that that person that is in the production of squash or corn or whatever is a farmer. You know, and again, that may be just a little bit crazy, but
Sidney, tell me if I'm wrong, but did they not want that pulled out because they're having trouble getting a farmer to participate, even if he is appointed, because he ain't got time?
That's what I understood, yes, sir. So these changes from the Development Commissioner, because they're having a hard time filling these seats, and these changes aren't going to kick someone off of the commission today, but when there is a void, it will help them be able to fill it easier, and not favor one industry. Right now, it's weighted in one industry towards one industry. And so they think that these changes will be able to balance it out.
and that was my understanding as well. And they, you know, the farmers, all they could bring to the table was the fertilizers to use, the chemicals to use, the actual growing, and they need more knowledge too of seed trends and the varieties, what, you know, marketing resources to, you know, further promote the seed.
And whoever's doing the appointment can still pick a farmer if that's who they want and get them to serve. Is that right?
hopefully, you know, but again, nobody would have ever predicted 50 years ago where we would be as it relates to agriculture and the farmer and what he does. So that's, and again, I hope I haven't, I'm not nitpicking the bill, but I just believe the word farmer carries a tremendous amount of weight and the ability to make sure we keep farmers. You fast forward, you may end up with no farmers on that. And so that was it. But no, I'm okay with it.
I mean, are you okay? We can put an order
we're
down
good.
something.
We're good. I just hate to see bill by bill by bill slowly but surely strike the word farmer.
Thank you for looking after us. The farmer guy sitting next to you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Speaking to Representative Larikia's question, I think the Chinese are going to take care of the farmer situation for us with the cotton price of late. But speaking to Representative Turner's question, it's my understanding that the growers, we'll throw a different term in there, the growers actually sign an agreement with the College of Agriculture, which constitutes a license currently, because they will sign an agreement that this is how this is the farm practices we use, this is the cultivation we use, and this is how we are protecting your germplasm, your seed that goes in, and that would actually constitute the license as it is now. It's an agreement between the specific grower and the College of Ag. That's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Who's five? Is that you, buddy, or
Yes.
Regina?
I've got my question answered, I think, in that discussion. The otherwise involved in the production involves a farmer, and then under number 5, you have to be a member of a farm-related organization, and those people are appointed by the Agricultural Committee of the House and Senate. So I feel like we're safe there, Mr. Chairman, but I did have a question when it first came up.
Chuck?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A friendly question for Representative Watson, the chairman of the bill. You alluded to maybe some potential conflicts if UGA staff members were members of this body, and looking at lines 42 and 43 maybe is where that's being addressed. The associate dean is being slotted in as a non-voting member, and I assume that he is currently a voting member, is that really where this is being manifested?
Well, I think currently there's 3 members serving on the commission that all work for the College of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences. So I think they've handled it well, but I think the commission is, they're again stacked to the university side and stacked to the turf side, and that's what they're trying to do. So yes, that is helping to address it.
Sydney?
And the university, they asked if they could be scaled back.
University themselves have asked.
The college of ag, those 3 appointments, that was their recommendation.
Mr. Mayor, which number are you?
It won't light up. I can talk especially loud. I just had a question. You said market seed from the UGA. They ensure the seed's not misused. How would it be misused? As a non-farmer on the committee.
Well, if you got your hands on some of the seed, you could take it and, as some folks have done, have it cleaned and replant it.
Or sell it.
And sell it. Because right now,
just for your own profit.
Yeah, and this happened in South Georgia with the cotton seed, where some growers took the cotton seed and collected it and went and had it cleaned and brown bagged it, and they didn't have to pay all the technology fees and all the royalty fees, and they saved a pile of money, but they got caught and got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, good. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Who's for? Go ahead, man.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I want to just go back to this notion of who grants the license, because if you proceed along in the code into Chapter 5, it talks about registrations, licenses, and permits granted by the department, and that's not this. So my question would be, if anyone knows, with regard to line 12 of the bill, as used in the code section, the term licensee means the holder of a license granted by whom. And I think you could clear up the confusion if you could just say who grants the license right there in that line of the bill, and then we realize that's something different than the other licenses granted by the department covered by Chapter 5.
Say that again.
Yes, sir. On line 12, where it says means the holder of a license has to be granted by someone. So you could, if I haven't heard yet who grants it, the entity that grants it, but whoever grants the license, you could just put the phrase, quote, granted by, fill in the blank, right there, and eliminate all this confusion.
So I have some background. In 97, this seed was from the University of Georgia Research Foundation.
There you
So
go.
they entered into agreement with the Seed Development Commission on the licensing and distribution of plant varieties developed by UGA plant breeders. And now the Seed Development Commission just manages the royalty stuff and seed collection of plant varieties. UGARF is what it's called. UGARF actually, they've entered into an agreement so that the Seed Development Commission is the license.
And so the license is granted by the commission.
Correct.
Or UGARF is giving them, they've entered into an agreement, and I don't know the details of that agreement, on the licensing and distribution of the seed. Wait, which is the University of Georgia Research Foundation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Do you want to add something? Or?
If I'm clear about who grants the license, I think you can clear up all this confusion by simply saying a license granted by either the commission, if they're the one that grants it, or the University of Georgia Research Foundation, parentheses UGARF, right here on line 12.
If y'all think that would clear up.
I concur with that, but it seems to me we would need to know exactly who does.
Yeah.
Who signs that document that creates a license before we insert it.
Right now, there's only one license that authorizes the propagation of this seed that's developed by UGA. No matter who that there's only one that actually authorizes the proper use of it. So if they change that contract, and that's fine, we would come back here and change the person that issues the license if we need to. And right now it sounds like they've gone into agreements with other entities to actually issue the license. So if you want to track along with that and follow along who's issuing the license and put that in there, that's fine, but it may change. Does that make sense?
You said it may change on an evolutionary basis or on a case-by-case
Well, that's what
basis?
it sounds like, and I don't know how they operate, but it sounds like they've contracted out who's going to issue the license. It was the Seed Development Commission, and at some point in time, they contracted that out to UGA, the Research Foundation, is that right?
Well, the seed is, we've been saying UGA, and it's actually more, because it's the arm that does the
Right.
research. But the seed that actually belongs to UGA.
And they're the ones that issue the license right now.
And they act, the seed, what I understand exactly how it's owned by them, but the seed commission is responsible for marketing and getting it out, and managing the royalties.
Y'all, I apologize, but the folks that are experts on this obviously ain't here this morning. They were supposed to be, but didn't get here. So that kind of threw it to Sam and Sydney, and we are not the experts. Yeah, but hang on a minute. Do you want to put language in there, Regina?
Well, I think to Representative Williams' point, where we may be putting in language that is not accurate as to who actually grants the license. I think that was his concern. So,
Would it help your feelings if we fixed it when it gets to Senate Ag and put that in there?
That's fine, Mr. Chairman. I just think that to Representative Turner's point, somebody's got to grant the license, and there is contradictory code section in the next chapter about that.
And if it gets down to it and they tinker with it, we can just disagree and get it in the conference
Yes,
committee
sir,
and
that's
fix
fine.
it. Right.
Absolutely.
All right, Dominic.
It talks about these being appointed by the lieutenant governor and the speaker. And again, I certainly don't have a problem, especially with the speaker. but the thing I guess that concerns me is going back to striking that word farmer issue. Are you going to delegate this or give this responsibility to possibly somebody one day who doesn't understand, maybe like some of them do, who needs to be sitting in that seat? Why not the agriculture commissioner, or I don't know. And again, you can certainly discount anything that I say, but I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Let me make a suggestion. If we go and put farmer or licensee on each part, we could put that word in there and keep farmer in that. I mean, I like that. Does that do good? Keep it in there?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think
Everybody agree with that pretty much? So that way we can keep it in, and all we have to do is farmer or, and we can
And I'm not
change it.
saying to take the appointment stuff away from lieutenant governor or, but I just wondered if there was a way to incorporate into that some input from the agriculture commissioner or even someone with University of Georgia or whatever. I worry about some of these appointments where you just don't see a lot of agriculture downtown Atlanta. Growing.
Farmer or.
It does define, it's very clear, it says shall be involved in the production, conditioning, the marketing of seed turf.
Well, that's what I mentioned to Representative Turner was when you say otherwise involved in the production of, I can have a farmhand that did nothing much more than just stack seed on a pallet, but he was involved in production. I could find you 50 people on most big farms that are otherwise involved in production, but don't know how to smell the dirt and feel how wet it is and say it's ready to plant. Or understand, you know what I mean?
I
I'm good with whatever the department feels that's okay, but there again, part of the reason this was brought up is because they can't find farmers to serve on this commission, or they don't want to serve on the commission, so they're having to expand that definition to include both farmers or a license holder, so that they,
But I think if we take 20 and we take 23 and we take line 34, put farmer or, that way you have the best of both worlds. And that way that's pretty simple.
like I said, I'm good with that, if the department's good with that.
You making a motion?
So I make a motion that we add that language.
Grab 17 here, I think.
Sir.
17.
Grab line 17.
Chairman,
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Line 17.
All right, hang on, check it. Is there a second on his motion?
And 17, yes, sir. Thank you.
You second it? Yeah. All right, now discussion. Chuck?
I'm not sure exactly, Jeremy, how that would be worded, but if the wording was such that it said farmer or licensee, could we have a situation where a farmer was appointed who was not a licensee?
Yes.
That language we used,
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
very
the
broad
intent,
here.
because I think the
Yeah.
intent is that everyone appointed has to be a licensee. So if we say farmer or licensee, we could have a non-licensee.
Can you do farmer licensee?
Eligible to be appointed, I don't think that would.
Take or out?
Yeah, no.
Just do farmer or licensee involved in the production, completion, marketing, seed, plants. I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to accomplish, if you just want farmer left in there because.
So if they're involved in the production, conditioning, and marketing, I would think it would be a farmer.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I think part of it is semantics. I know in our area where there's not much traditional row crop agriculture, if you ask the folks in the room to hold up their hand, if they're a farmer, a lot of our turf folks and horticulture folks would not hold up their hand because they view themselves as turf grass producers or horticultural producers, and they don't, not in a negative way, they just don't perceive themselves on the traditional term that we use as farmers. So I think that's probably where some of our problem is.
So your concern is if we put farmer or licensee, they may not necessarily be a licensee. And you Golf and Seed Commission want them to be a licensed person. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I think Representative Laricchia's point, his passion plea for the protection of farmers is something that I think this committee and members of this committee will always try to defend and develop. And I think his heart is in the right place. And I think that he makes a valid point that we should always keep in mind. But for the purpose of this particular bill and its intent, I have to agree with Representative Williams and Representative Watson that we kind of be muddying the waters a little bit. And I think that farmers are encapsulated by that definition of somebody involved in production. I think it obviously is broader than the definition of farmer, but it also includes what I think everybody would think a farmer is. So I would encourage the committee to keep the language the same.
Well, we got a motion and a second on the floor. We either got to withdraw or vote one way or the other, if that's what the committee wants to do.
Withdraw, and here's why. I'm just now learning how this legal language works. I want to look at everything from a very common sense sort of a country boy approach, and the only thing I know about common sense is it's not real common. And
not inside 285.
I need to sit beside guys like this that can say, well, this is writing laws a little different than planting taters.
We sure like them taters.
Yeah. Amen.
All right, let me get where we are. We didn't change anything, did we?
Not yet, Mr. Chairman.
We can motion the table. Or take off the table, the farmer or.
All right. So that motion about the farm has been withdrawn. Now, is there any more discussion on this a whole complicated thing that the experts didn't show up for. All right, we need a motion one way or the other on it then.
Make a motion to pass.
Motion do pass on House Bill 1030. Do pass. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. And we will fix your concern with Senator Wilkinson's committee, or we will fix it one way or the other if they. Sam's got to keep up with it because it's his bill.
I just want to know who points finger at when Mr. Quick comes and says, hey, this didn't happen. Let's go see what they say.
All right, we have one more little old bill. It's House Bill 579. This is a bill we passed out. It went to rules. All of a sudden, GMA and Peachtree City and the city that we're sitting in right now had some concerns with four-wheelers and golf carts. And if you'll look on line 21, there's no question about under this code section what the definition of a farmer is and what a farm use vehicle is. And then on line 28, it talks about 40-8-4 that says you got to have a triangle on it. Line 30 through 34 says what you have to be specifically doing, being driven by a farmer under the definition to be able to run one of these personal utility vehicles, four-wheeler, golf cart, or whatever on a highway.
Is that a farmer or licensed?
That's a farmer, as defined on page 1. And then on line 41 through 43, it allows municipalities to, they can prohibit it. They don't have to. The running of these vehicles on their streets, which tries to help Atlanta's problem that they have with evidently gangs or something running around taking over people's property. Now, on line 47 to the end, through 75, is something Alan Powell wanted to add in because he had some language on another bill. I didn't know he presented his bill yesterday in motor vehicles. So, all the original 579 was doing was taking care of line 1 through 45, where a farmer doing agricultural practices could drive a four-wheeler, golf cart, Ranger, whatever, on a highway from field to field or from shop to the field or chicken house back to the shop, whatever. That's all it was doing. If y'all want to take part 7 out, I don't care. Because I think line 41 takes care of what that language is trying to take care of. And if you look at the code now, according to our esteemed lawyer, Mr. Avery, 47 through 75 is kind of fluff anyway, right?
I don't know how they're enforcing it, but ATVs should be considered vehicles by definition, subject to the rules of the road.
So anyway, the biggest thing 579 was trying to do was what I just explained about a farmer. Not having to load up a four-wheeler on a trailer, go 3/10 of a mile up the road or 10 miles up the road, but you ain't gonna be driving a four-wheeler 10 miles between fields and then having to unload it to work with it. And we use these things now like a tractor. So that's all 579 was trying to do. If y'all want to take out part 7, I'm happy. We do have one fellow that wants to testify. Mr. David, grab that mic and pull it over to the end and tell me what the little sticker on it says. It says what? Oh, okay. See if that's got it.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
have a seat. Have a seat.
Oh, okay. As a farmer myself, I found this interesting discussion on the previous bill. I'm from LJ, in any event, I was down here in 2002, 3, 4, and 5 when John Bullock was down here in the Senate. John had a lot of problems with four-wheelers running wild, trespassing, and I worked with Speaker McCall, or I suggested that he tighten up the farmer language. Chairman McCall. And he put good language in there, and based on the years I spent down here and a Attorney General's ruling that came out of Brantley County when four-wheelers were running wild up and down the Satilla River, the Attorney General has ruled that four-wheelers are illegal on a public road because they don't have plates on them. So if the city of Atlanta wanted to bust them, I can't believe that packs of them are roaming around the city, but if the city of Atlanta wanted to stop them, they could prosecute it for not having a tag. Speaker McCall's bill makes common sense. I know a lot of chicken farms in my county. People have cattle across the road from the chicken farms, and they use their four-wheelers to come back and forth, and Speaker McCall's bill makes a lot of sense. The section that he wants removed would legalize them everywhere under all circumstances unless counties and municipalities voted against them. It's unnecessary. It just creates a problem that would have to be resolved again. So I think the original 579 language is good the way it stands. The additional Section 2 just needs to be discarded and done away with. There's no need for it. They're illegal on roads now. This bill would allow farmers to use them, and none of us want to see them running up and down West Paces Ferry Road or Peachtree Road or the road I live on, Big Creek Road. I've had a lot of problems with trespass on my farm. I do a lot of hunting and fishing on national forest land. They've created big problems back in there. I helped a disabled veteran the other day. My nephew and I dropped 20 trees to keep him from running through his property to get back to Forest Service land. He's to the point where he's carrying a .45 pistol around because of trespass. And this Section 2, if left in this bill, would open it up for anybody to drive them anywhere unless all the municipalities voted against it, which there's just no need for that. No need for it at all. The original, as Chairman McCall states, his original bill recognizes a problem and solves it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Okay.
Relating to the section 41, any municipality may prohibit. Will these municipalities, each individual city, have to create a ordinance addressing this particular piece of legislation? Is that my understanding?
Jeremy, it's my understanding that they do that now, right?
Yeah, if they want to, once this goes into effect, that'll sort of be the default. If the municipality says, oh, we have a problem with this, then we're going to have to enact legislation. And that is the case right now. They can already restrict certain types of vehicles from roads and allow them to do that. That would be the case. We're making this sort of default. They have to opt out of the problem.
Just want to make sure. I got a lot of small communities that sometimes don't get a lot of vehicles.
And the thing about the municipalities, there's not going to be a whole lot of farmers running through the middle of town actually farming, carrying out farming practices is what. Yes, yeah.
I think I'm Richard Tell with the Municipal Association. This is me in Middleton, the city of Atlanta. We can probably clear up.
Y'all talk into whichever one that is. I don't even know.
We agree that Section 2 could be taken out of the bill for the purposes of this bill. Section 1 addresses the issues that you brought forth in the original bill, and we very much appreciate you working with us in creating this language. Our concerns with the original bill was that it created an exemption for agricultural purposes but didn't define it. When you have a definition of farmer, that solves the issue, and we very much appreciate that. To answer your question, what this would do is if a city wanted to prohibit the farm use vehicles in the city, which places like Atlanta probably don't have too many farms in them, but if they wanted to, they would have to pass an ordinance. So we very much appreciate it, and we think Section 1 solves all the issues.
Does anybody have, yes, sir?
I've
Oh, okay, that sounds real good. Thank y'all. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Paul Stillman said, why are we doing this? Because you have the ability to stop, arrest, detain these vehicles on the road now. I think we talked about this before. So why are we going, even in another bill that you've got in motor vehicles? It seems like y'all have an enforcement issue, not a law issue.
I think there's a combination of both. I think a big part is the enforcement issue. A lot of cities, like the city of Atlanta, have no chase policy. For public safety reasons, chasing vehicles can lead to dangerous results.
But how would this change that?
Would part two? Well, we agree that part two could be taken out of this bill, but the problem with the ATVs is in the Georgia Code. It's actually there's 4 different definitions for ATVs, and there's actually no code sections relating to ATVs in the Georgia Code. It's kind of the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's defined 4 different ways, but there's no actual code section saying what those definitions can and can't do. There's a 2007 Attorney General's opinion that says ATVs are subject to the uniform rules of the road, which means they are supposed to have licensing and insurance and all that, but it also means that they use the roads. You know, it kind of plays both sides. So there is a conundrum in the law just because it's defined and it's not actually utilized, I think. But we think that this bill is probably not the place for that, and we'll continue working with this gentleman on other legislation, and if that's not necessary, we'll take a look at that. So.
Chairman, I think yes, comment.
Okay.
If you don't mind, in Brantley County, when there was a problem with the Sotillo River, the Attorney General, subsequent to this, I'm not sure what year it was, but I have at home in my files the ruling, ruled that all ATVs are illegal on public roads because they're not entitled to a tag. And a motor vehicle has to have a tag to operate on a public road with certain exceptions. One of the exceptions is motorized parts that they used to use down by Fort McPherson around the airport. There's 2 or 3, but ATVs are not among them. And this was a huge struggle that went on for a number of years in the House Motor Vehicle Committee. And it came to a head. A number of people wanted to put tags on ATVs. It never passed for 5 years. Tom Rice is very familiar with this struggle. John Bullock was a big supporter of keeping tags off ATVs in the Senate. And then it came to a head in Brantley County because the people were riding 4-wheelers on the county road, and when they get to the right-of-way for bridge, they hop down in the river and run up and down the river. And then, of course, trespassing anybody's property they felt like along the way. So I think the issue is settled, and just as the discussion has gone in this committee, Chairman McCall's bill, Section 1 with Section 2 stripped out, resolves the problem, and I don't think there's any need for any more legislation. The city of Atlanta is just going to have to resolve the problem of catching these criminals one way or another.
Move forward.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I've got sort of a multi-part question, I guess, for you as the author of the bill and/or legal counsel. I know when this came through committee the first time, you allowed me the liberty to add the term forestry in addition to agriculture. Right. And it looks like maybe that didn't stay in there when the bill got rewritten as a substitute. And another part of that sort of related question is on line 22. It says farmer means owner of a commercial agricultural operation, and I guess I'm wondering whether or not commercial is defined in the code relative to the term a lot of us use as far as family farm operations. I just don't want to paint ourselves on a corner there with using that term commercial. And then the other question I have is I may be missing it, but looking at that definition, it looks like this authorizes family members of that farmer to operate those vehicles, but I don't see anything that allows employees or agents of that farmer, unless I'm missing it. If somebody
line 22, the last word.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I did miss it. Thank you.
And as far as forestry goes, tell me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, there's parts of the code section that talks about agriculture and forestry. There's parts of the code section that talks about agriculture, and it is considered that forestry is part of agriculture. Am I getting close, Jeremy?
It's all over the place with that.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we say agriculture, that includes forestry. Sometimes they have it separate, so we'll say silvicultural or agricultural. Sometimes we say forestry or ag.
And-
So for purposes of this, I think it's probably a little bit unclear. My issue with putting in forestry without having something to also bound it, like we've done with agricultural products, livestock, moving farm machinery. It's hard to say, and I think I'm trying to address, I guess, the municipality's issue with it. How are we going to bound forestry to? And I mean, obviously, I'd be happy to work with someone to have language that's tight enough to still include forestry if that's the committee's wish. But just including forestry as a blanket term, I think gets back to the problem that they had when they kicked it back from the
And there was a question also after we did that said that the question was that if we specifically say agriculture and forestry or forestry, are we then separating forestry out from under agriculture? So that's the complicated reason is we just didn't put it in there, and it's implied, in my opinion, that forestry is considered part of this. Now,
Yeah, I follow you. As I said, my concern is, as council said, that code is all over the map,
Yeah.
depending on how you define it. And again, I don't want forestry to be left out because these vehicles are used extensively in forestry.
Oh, I agree.
For legitimate uses.
And to answer your question about commercial, Atlanta had a question that if some of these idiots running up and down the road put a triangle on a four-wheeler, claimed they were coming from a community garden, would that be agriculture practices? Well, a community garden ain't commercial agriculture. So,
Is commercial defined anywhere in the
I don't know
in the
that.
code, Jeremy?
It's defined several times, usually connected to another word, commercial, X, commercial. It usually just means a business operation. So if you're raising some geese in your backyard or something, you can't be riding a four-wheeler around. If you want to then define commercial agricultural operation, we can do that too. If that gives you some heartburn, not having it defined. But it really is to separate out from your sort of casual or personal crop raising or animal raising, things like that.
I'm just trying to make sure we got belt and suspenders, Mr. Chairman, because ATVs are a sensitive issue around the state, and I just want to make sure that that their legitimate use is not infringed upon.
Well, do you want to put silviculture in front of operation?
That would make me happier.
I don't care. I mean, it does the same thing.
Yeah, unless you use silvicultural rather than forestry, that implies, I think, more of a intensive profit motivated operation.
I don't even know how to spell it, but anyway.
Silvicultural.
Or has anybody else got? You looking like you got a question? Okay. Yeah, it is getting close to rule time.
I'd like to move that we strike line 45 through 76.
Okay. Is there a second to that? We got a motion and a second to strike lines 45 through whatever you said, 76. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right. Chuck, you want to?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we add the words on line 22 between commercial and agricultural. We add the words silvicultural, or commercial, agricultural, or silvicultural operation. So from agricultural
Agriculture and operations, what, yeah. Is there a second? All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right, anything else? If we can get forestry, agriculture, Peachtree City, and Atlanta happy in one bill, I don't know how in the world you could do anything else, but.
I'm impressed.
All right, yes, sir. That'd be good. Got a motion due passed as amended, right, Chuck Scott? And a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. All right, don't forget your biscuits in the morning. Thank y'all for getting here on time. All the green people, y'all, yeah, wait, y'all hang on a second. Chris, today is Green Day, right?